What's up? Hold on a sec. I gotta turn my volume on. You're in. No, I'm upstairs.
Oh, okay, well.
What's up?
I wonder if you,
If I purchase anything on what?
box. Box.
Yes, I did. No, I don't have your card unless you gave it to me.
Well, I still have finding information. So we can discuss it tomorrow. Well, I have a chart.
We had this, well, Jason had asked me to set up originally, but then they needed some way to securely deposit, or drop, student files, and then somebody else needed it the other day for something else. I can't even remember what it was now. But I think that particular use is what generated the charge, although I think Sherry Cook has a Dropbox account of her own, but I don't know how she's paying for it.
Yeah, I don't know either, but like I said, I don't have paperwork on here about bills. Just
Okay. Okay, okay,
Bye.
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 Dang it.
Hello.
You hear about the radio station thing?
I did. I did.
They're nuts,
Why?
because there's a whole bunch of costs that they're not, planning to hold out there. So it's just, how is this updated?
No, yeah, there's one of my kinds of PowerPoint. They or meeting or something like that.
They want me to use diligence tonight, so I'm having all kinds of, so
It's the board meeting, second one down.
this one.
Yep. Fun and games. Thank you.
I'm gonna keep your phone back too.
No, that's perfect. Thank you. Yeah,
Back to the girls.
yep, I'll make sure nothing walks off.
Thank you.
But if it starts walking off, I'll shoot it.
Okay. The only thing I'm worried about is my laptop.
Yeah, no. I'll
It's
make
my whole brain.
sure.
Karen. Not over.
Said I could.
I know.
I also said the dark side has cookies, so you know.
Yeah, or the cookies.
Aaron, can I ask what the peach on your water bottle, what's that from? Oh, it's a strawberry. It's a sticker made of beadwork, native beadwork from an artist that I really like. Yeah. You have a peach on something too, don't you? I do, yeah, same artist, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I could never afford the beadwork because it's, you know, so intricate and beautiful, but the sticker. I can afford it in my budget. Yeah, hey there, how are you? That's good.
Hi, Lori.
Hi.
How are you?
They're crowded in my neighborhood.
I was gonna say, it's getting crowded, maybe that's me.
It's a gated community.
Wow.
Not
Yeah,
letting anybody in over there.
exactly.
Now who's gonna nudge me when I get with you?
I'll keep that.
Okay.
Jason will. Clean up the manhole.
I'm encouraging you to keep going.
Good point, keep your. Find it? I did, yes, I did not want to deal. Hey, email to a, you have email, should I go? And it's already dark. On the thumb drive, that is your freeze, because I don't know, I just found it. Before. I didn't know.
They just fiddled it.
Yeah.
So back.
When you go, I just found my thumb drive, I can just put them on a thumb drive if you prefer. I'll build one on here. Got a thumb drive? I'm gonna keep this off. I emailed it to you, yeah. Slides for June 5. So. Well, for the first time. Nice, this will be interesting. What, keep on your toes? Partner to learn a new thing every day, keep the brain suffered. Sometimes one of the things. Keep up with it. Fall from whatever persistence, yeah, perfect. Thank you, Cheryl.
I think Aaron has been enjoyed by his Zoom tonight, because she's not feeling well.
Kathy,
Hi.
how are you?
Kathy, hello. Shannon Hall. Oh, there I am. Why is it? No. So is it the same thing? Yeah.
Oh, you're in trouble. I'm welcome to.
I bought it on Amazon. It totally is. It's like when I don't feel like feeling. Yeah, yeah. I have to sit like this. Watch it like a person.
Never come. Kathy, how are you?
Good.
Nice to see you.
So you walked in here, yeah, I saw you walking.
You go for 2 walks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
good way to fresh air. Keep your sanity, huh? Keeps my saying, well, such as it is.
Yeah.
But you do, okay?
Except for music.
Cool.
I just stay well.
Yeah, stay healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Oh, nice to see
So I
you.
can sing.
Yeah, right. I'll come in.
When you're ready.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you can just let her know when we're ready.
Yes, I will.
And that topic's coming up or whatever.
Okay.
Thanks, Lori.
I forget also syndrome to new levels.
I'm good. You got it.
Music things I'm gonna stay healthy for.
Oh, yeah. Mary, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
How are you? Hi, Mary, how are you?
Good. I mean, it's after we pay again. I pay this tomorrow.
She's
We just
gonna
don't do
be
Zoom.
too.
Okay.
She's not looking well.
It's just sorry yesterday.
Was she sick yesterday?
Let's shop. Well, I should tell you that. too.
No, I do have to do it, and I was gonna do it today, but I thought, well, I didn't want to do it today.
tomorrow.
You could go to the,
Yeah.
and at 3 o'clock, there's a health fair at the
Yeah,
Beverly.
I also have a. Yeah, I have my COVID.
I thought my-
They don't. It'll be like-
President of the really fun. Oh, Mary. Were you sick?
Full day.
I was sick. Just with the COVID.
The shingles make it very.
And what insurance, what am I doing really special? Okay, I will start adding you to our monthly email reminders. Just to remind you for your presentation. And so you'll put your stuff on the agenda.
And shingles, is it true that you, once you've had this shingles shot, that's pretty much it?
That's pretty much it. But yeah, I think that's.
You have to have 2.
Yeah. Have 2.
Had to.
That was just my.
Hurts. That's the one that hurts.
Yeah.
But I also got really sick.
Yeah, I'm sure that is. Cause I only had
Oh, got it. Yes. No, okay, that would be.
I know.
Just how I feel, it's bad for you. That's fine.
They're trying to take me out.
They're trying to put the ones as my touch, right? The Larry.
And here, Larry, oh, you need to.
Yeah.
Oh, they grip.
Oh, Paul knows her actually.
Yeah.
Well, to the one that
sorry.
yeah, it's
Riley.
Riley, that's the card. Yes, so Paul clearly knows. Okay.
Are you?
It's been a Monday.
Right?
Yes.
It's my numbers.
Throw my laptop in front of Cheryl.
What's that?
I said, I probably shouldn't throw my laptop in front of Cheryl.
You might not get one.
That's bad, right?
Well, it's hard to work without one, so I mean.
Certainly hard to work mom.
She will.
They were the first.
So that just-
Yeah.
Right there. Let's go, there you are.
Oh, right, that's why I didn't anyway, so I couldn't even anything. My second. No, I must have just something. Well. When they call me, oh, we're running the copy.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. Let's call this meeting to order at 5:02 p.m. And I'd like to acknowledge our guests. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. And we'll move right into the consent agenda. Has everybody had a chance to review the agenda?
Yes.
Hi.
Sound all.
Andrea, thank you for being with us remotely. We heard you're under the weather. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, gotta get well before Wednesday.
Okay. All right, so we don't have any changes or questions about the agenda or the minutes? Nothing for the minutes? All right, well, let's move right into the personnel report with Kylie.
All right, so we've got the Dean of Instruction search. We decided to fail that and restructure and look at that in a different way. IT support specialist, we've had several applicants and we're getting a panel together. So we'll start that interviewing process soon. CTE workforce development support specialist, that is still posted and we're still collecting applications on that, as well as the CTE apprenticeship coordinator. So those are coming in. We have a new post that we did for financial aid advisor. So we've gotten really good applications on that. So we will be interviewing soon. Probably within the next week or two. And the tutoring and testing specialist, Ben Gustafson has been hired, and he starts on Wednesday, and we got him from the hospital, so. Yeah. So, sorry. I'm sorry. So yeah, he was a great addition to Claire's team. Excited about that.
So when you fail the search for the Dean of Instruction, you say we're gonna relook at that, what does that mean?
Well, we've had a challenge. It's really been going on for about 5 months. It's sort of been a start and stop. We're finding that we've had candidates who are interested, but the salary doesn't match the cost of living with the responsibilities for the job. So I just need to reconsider whether we might want to have a lower level position that might provide some support, but not quite what I was envisioning as the Dean of Instruction. And with the holidays coming up, I'll probably just wait until January to repost something once I restructure that.
Yeah, it's been challenging. It's a mid-level management position. The salary is competitive. But when folks are at that point in their career and they're looking at moving here, right, it's challenging because they just don't see housing, right, for one, and what they do see is kind of not attainable necessarily. So it's going to have to be creative.
Okay. Anything else?
I move we accept the consent agenda.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Let's move on to, well, let me make a mention about invitation for public comment. Available at the beginning of the meeting is an opportunity for the public to comment on any issue within the jurisdiction of the Tillamook Bay Community College Board of Education. Is there anyone here tonight who'd like to make public comment in person or online? Hearing none, we will move on to new business and start with an accreditation update with Director Ricardo.
Hey, everyone. I wanted to circle back and just share with you all kind of a follow-up on our really successful visit that we had about a month ago with the evaluators who were here on campus. I've shared with all employees and faculty and thank them for their participation. The evaluators commended everyone who participated for a really wonderful and warm welcome, and really commended everybody for being so participatory and encouraging and engaged in the process. I think I don't know that they were surprised by that, but they really enjoyed the conversations that they had with everyone that they met with. Particularly, they called out some strengths. They called out the success coaches, who you'll hear from tonight, for the development that they've done with course maps, with worksheets, with other visuals that they've developed to work with students. They called out the teams that they met with, who are using data to measure the impact of their work with SAOs. I'm thrilled to hear, I can't be in those rooms, so to hear later that the teams were able to talk about the SAOs. They called out the board's support to supporting our use of data and how that informs our decision-making and holding us accountable around achieving our mission. Many employees talked about the placemat. Oh, heart so warm, right? And how talked about how their work aligns with the priorities and the objectives in the strategic plan. The evaluators talked about the faculty and administration and that participate in program reviews, and really commended how we use those results to improve our programs. And they talked about instruction and how there were some really solid examples in the area of instruction about how we collected and track learning outcomes, and that was a real strength. We have 4 years until our evaluation of institutional effectiveness, that 7-year review that we talked to you about. That will occur in October of 28. And they gave us some areas to focus on to improve, which is what I was really looking for, because that really will structure the work that we'll do and the conversations that we'll have with you, and obviously work that we'll do as a team over the next 4 years, which will go very, very quickly. The evaluators really encourage leadership to lead in building and educate a culture of data building, or to create a data-informed culture. And so we really talked about that as a leadership team. What can we do and how can we really set that course? And so we've got some strategies that we're going to be employing in that area. So it's not just my work. I think we've made progress in that. I don't really see this work as just Erin's work, but it really is a team effort, but we can, I think, do more in that. They also talked about needing to integrate resource allocation into our strategic planning cycle to do more in that area. So when we do program reviews and SAO projects and strategic planning projects, make sure that we can really document how, when we identify that projects need resources, that we can really map and document that alignment of resources to support those projects, and that we can really document that. So that's an area that we're going to be working on. We're still building SAOs for each of our teams. We have those SAOs pretty solid for most of our teams, but it's an ongoing process to really build those out. And as we do that, we'll bring more of those to you all, so you can hear about those. Because I think, as you've learned, SAOs are really cool, and they're really interesting. We've had some really good conversations here, I think, about SAOs, and they give you some insight into the work that our employees are really doing in their teams. What else? I could go on and on because this stuff is really cool. They called out and really supported us in this idea that we need a mission fulfillment indicator for the equity and inclusion priority, right? That's the one priority where we don't have a metric. And they made the connection, which is really great and probably obvious, and that we might think about aligning that metric with our work to become a Hispanic serving institution. And maybe there are ways to really look at our progress to becoming an HSI that we might make some alignment between that goal and developing a metric in that area. So there are others areas of work, but I think, we've got plenty of work to do, but I think we're on track to a successful, 7-year. The other, kind of, area of work or thing that I learned and that I'll be doing, I think a better job of, or be doing really consistently, is to document everything, to write everything down and to gather examples. We come up with, and I think you're going to hear tonight, some great examples of the work that folks are doing. Will I remember those 4 years from now? Right? That's the question, because those are the kind of things that evaluators are going to want to hear. And the folks that visited a month ago, that's what they said. They said, you've got to remember those. You've got to write them down. You've got to document them, because that's just what you're going to want to be able to pull out of your pocket and share. So yeah, so I'm trying to develop a kind of strategies and ways to kind of capture them all, right? Yes, yeah, exactly. So thanks.
Thank you.
Our next event with the commission. So in October of 2027, we'll do a year 6 report, which is basically a desk review. Team doesn't come out of basically resources, right? I mean, I think that's both human resources, fiscal resources, and things like that. And we send that in. That'll be for year 6. And then the following year, October 2028, is when we have the large study around student learning.
Thanks to Mary and Tamara for joining me when we met with the reviewers. It was a pleasure to talk to them. But you're right about the remembering in the moment the things you want to talk about and brag about, because so much goes on in the college, over the course of a year, let alone 4 years.
Yeah.
So you're right. We should be keeping notes so we can have that stuff fresh in our minds.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's go on to item B, discussion of board self-evaluation goals and priorities.
Thank you. Well, so we had a conversation, I believe maybe it just might have been with me and the chair and vice chair. I can't recall if we did it in the retreat or not, about self-evaluation. Typically, it is an accreditation standard and an expectation that the board does evaluate itself regularly. That can take any number of formats. Prior to 2020, the board would do an evaluation where in odd years, they would enlist the services of ACCT to administer a more detailed quantitative survey, and in even years would do a smaller, more qualitative survey. And I've listed that, or I've put in the packet, the smaller survey. The last time we did this survey was in 2019-20. And you can see it's straightforward. You rate 1 through 5, basically how you feel the board is achieving in these different areas. And then there's some open-ended comments that can be made from that. And then I also put in here just so you could see what it looked like, what the results were from 2020 for that survey, and some good information that came from that. In 2020, a decision was made to move towards an evaluation where you're just looking at the goals and objectives that the board sets each year and then reflecting on those, how well you succeeded in doing those. And I've also included that one, if you can see at the end here, the TBCC board goals from 23-24, the final assessment of how well the board accomplished their goals is listed here this way. And I don't really know that we're looking for an action today from this other than a conversation among the board members. Would you like to do a periodic self-evaluation where you can rank and we can evaluate that? Would you like to stick with the review of the board goals like we've been doing in the past, like that sheet that's up there, and we talked about at the retreat? I do think that as we settle more into a routine with me here, we can get a little more upfront where we might be evaluating these. Our retreat can be over the summer instead of in the fall when we're already doing it. The advantage that I see to doing maybe the smaller survey one first, if we did it in the spring, is that could help inform the direction of some of the board goal setting that we would do at the retreat in the summer. And I don't think it would be too cumbersome to do that self-evaluation there, because it doesn't really, I mean, they complement each other, but they're not the same. This really looks at how you function more as a board in your role as board members, as opposed to actually accomplishing the work that's set out in front of you. So I don't know if you see, would like to see some more objective look at it this way, like this survey, in addition to doing what we've been doing. You agreed last month on the goals that we'll have. And Lori is currently working on putting those into a format that's a tracking format, much like that other document that we had up there, so we can monitor progress on those over the course of the year. But if you found value in the springtime, late spring, doing like that 1 through 5 kind of ranking thing, if you think that would be helpful, we can certainly put that together as well. So,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Well, as I recall, and I'll check with my colleagues to see, because indeed, to our earlier discussion, it is hard to remember what from year to year. It seems to me like we were doing a ranking annually, and it seemed like too much. And then we went away from doing the annual ranking. And do you guys recall? Is that
Right.
essentially what happened?
Yeah.
That's when we went
And
to
there are
just.
2 separate things. So this is about the board, and then we had the one where we evaluate the president. So there were 2
Right.
separate. And some got a little cumbersome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially if it's anecdotal information, it gets a little long.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
as the president, Kathy was writing all that up, which I'd rather not do.
Fair enough, for sure.
And sometimes that was a struggle, that I would not get everybody's input.
So,
There was a deadline, and there were tough times I
yeah,
didn't get everybody's.
So-
Just know that.
yeah. So that's why we went to a simplified form of just checking in
Right, to
on
make
our
it easier.
goals.
Mhm.
But let me ask you a couple of things. Does the simplified form of checking on our goals, does that meet the requirement, the accreditation?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Andrea? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the simpler one more often, because like you said, we can't remember 4 years from now.
And Lori was really good about keeping track of what we've done, because
Mhm.
Yeah,
I look at, oh, she filled it out, basically who went to what training and what meetings and kept track of it
Mhm.
for us. So I really appreciate that, because sometimes we don't know. Or did I go to that meeting? Did
Yeah.
I attend that?
Yeah. I'm not opposed to doing what you've suggested there as the self-evaluation, just a checklist. I don't know that we need to do it every year, but I'm not opposed to doing it. We could do it this spring and then go over it at our next board retreat.
Sure.
And it will be a new board basically next year, because you're gonna have the election, so
True.
hopefully it won't change
Dramatically.
dramatically, but there will be a few changes, so that might be a good time for new board members to.
I think I'll put it this way. I think there's a value. I don't think we need to do this every year. Like, I don't think we need it to, I don't want to do this to just check the box and say we've done it. I do think there's value, I think, to me as an incoming president, establishing a relationship with the board to have some level setting that kind of helps, and that helps, I think, maybe sooner rather than later, helps me inform the direction that I think I would like to take with you all and for our retreats, when we go into the retreat, and some directions to work on. But again, like I said, I don't want to do something that is busy work. I want it to be meaningful, and I don't think it would be meaningful to do this every year, but it might be worthwhile to do it every couple of years, just as a a quick check-in kind of thing.
Well, what I see this as like a baseline data set.
right? And I kind of like the average score, I like the numbers,
Mhm.
and then we can go from there, then we can track, you know, are we better this year? Are we pretty close? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, so it's easy. Well, either way we look at scoring doesn't, I don't think it doesn't impact the work necessarily, but
True.
I think involving Erin or involving some more continuity and supporting what the college is doing, and especially year over year as we look at growing and the things that are going on, to make sure we're staying relevant with what we set as our objective. So,
Yeah. I think we would probably have, I think this would be reasonable that Lori, as the executive assistant to the board, would piece this together, right? I mean, I don't think that should rely on the chair of the board, but I would think if we were going to do something like this, I would probably recommend doing it like May, June-ish would probably be reasonable. And then we can have it for the summer retreat. We will have a board meeting in July this year, but I would think we would discuss the results of it during the board retreat, not during a board session necessarily.
Okay. Mary, do you have anything back in this?
I found it difficult to answer the survey that has the average score on it, just when I'm by myself in a vacuum, because I would prefer it was a discussion. Well, this is how I feel about it. This is how you feel about it. Because sometimes I don't really actually understand what they're asking me to grade.
I like that. I agree.
So I could take it or leave it. And I apologize in advance if I don't get it back.
Can we,
I was probably the one that was missing.
can we, probably not the only one. Can we do it together as a group activity?
Yeah, and I think actually it would be a good retreat exercise.
Let's do that. Yeah.
That a lot. I
Okay.
was just reminding myself to send Lori an email that I attended the OCCA 101
Nice.
lunch and learn.
No, right?
That's great.
Yeah, I think that would be good if we did it as a, or I like that idea. You could get a consensus score and as a group. It gives us an idea of where we think we might want to invest some more time and energy. Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
Excellent. Okay, good idea.
Yep.
Good, thank you.
All right.
And do we need to vote on that? No.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, let's move on to item C, which is board policy 3430, prohibition of harassment, first reading.
Okay, if it's okay with you, I would like to discuss 3430 and 3433 together. So we have a current, as you know, we're in the middle of redoing our board policies. This is a routine update to a new format, but in addition, this one is a little bit more important importance not really urgent maybe because it also deals with Title IX issues. So we previously had one harassment policy, policy 322, and it had in it both the sort of policy and the procedure parts in it. It was a pretty lengthy policy. We are required by law. This is required by law, but we did not have a separate sexual harassment Title IX policy. And that is required by law and has been for a while. What prompted this most recent change was that in August, the new language from the Biden administration around Title IX came out, and we subsequently had to update all of our policies regarding that new language. Prior language had been from the Trump administration. So this is updated information that is consistent with current legal requirements. Essentially what happened from the Trump era Title IX regulations to the Biden era Title IX regulations. It used to be with the Trump era regulations that if this was all of the sexual harassment claims that you would get in a particular year or whatever, this much of it would be covered by Title IX, right? It was a much more restrictive language around what is Title IX and what isn't Title IX. Now, with the Biden administration's rulings now has that almost the opposite. If this is the amount of sexual harassment claims you get, this is the amount that's not Title IX. It's because the language has been opened up to include all sexual discrimination cases now can fall under Title IX, whereas in the past it had to be sexual harassment, so it can be sexual discrimination. So it is a much more inclusive policy that has the language in there. So we actually have two policies, one around sexual harassment and one around sexual harassment specifically that's Title IX related. So we took that policy, the old policy, 322, and have split that down into two policies, one that is around sexual harassment in general, and another one that's around sexual harassment covered by Title IX. You'll also notice that both of these policies, the new policies that we're bringing forward, are much shorter in nature and brief. And that's because none of the process of how we would treat a case that would come to us as sexual harassment is covered in the policy. It's covered in the administrative rules. Those are currently, actually, they just got approved. No, I'm sorry. They're currently making their way through College Council. The board doesn't see those. I'm happy to share those with you when they come through. But they are very lengthy and detailed. For example, the Title IX sexual harassment administrative rule, I think, ended up being a little over 30 pages and it details explicitly by process how the college must treat a Title IX sexual harassment case, whether that involves a student or not. So they're pretty lengthy. The language is, like I said, legally required, is fairly full of legalese. So that's the history on the sexual harassment policy in those two. So these two policies, once adopted, will replace the old policy 322.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Comments? Well, this is a first reading, so we'll take this up again. Pardon?
Why now?
Well, with an election tomorrow? Well, we may be seeing these again, right? But it'll be a few years from now. It takes a long time for these to make their way through the government system.
The second reading could be a whole nother world.
And it very may well be. We are, why now? Well, we're out of compliance for one thing. We don't have one.
It must have been for a while.
We have.
Okay.
For a while, yeah.
That makes more sense. Yeah, that's easier to answer.
Yes. Yeah, we're out of compliance, have been for a while. It just took a little bit of time to get them to you through our system, right? To get them to you. They are legally required. But to your point, language can change. Yeah. And we would be required to bring them back once they are, because they're part of, we subscribe to the OCCA library. As soon as the change comes out that's required by law, they email us and we know it and bring it back to the process. Yeah.
They're up on it.
But just to give you an idea of when Biden was elected president in 2020, the Trump era, it took till August of 2024 for the Trump era requirements to be changed, right? So it just takes a long time to work their way through the processes in government as well. I thought we moved slow, but.
Okay, if we don't have anything else on that, we can move on to E, which is board policy 3540, sexual and other assaults on campus.
Similarly, when we started working through these policies and are looking at rescinding the previous sexual harassment policy, we looked at all of the policies around assault, sexual or otherwise on campus while we were going through these. And this is one that I think we need to have in place alongside the sexual harassment ones when they come through. This one in particular will deal almost exclusively with sexual assaults. And there will be an AR that's coming forward as well that also deals with sexual assault on campus. We're currently looking at all of our campus safety policies and procedures. Jason and his team have been working on revising those as well. So we'll see these coming through. In addition, some of them were missing that are legally required. Some of them we have, but we've merged them together with others. So we're just trying to clean this up quite a bit. So then this again is just speaks to sexual assaults on campus. I'm sorry. Is this a new one?
Or not?
I think that the language that is covered in this particular policy was in our sexual harassment policy. So what we're looking at here is three more explicit kind of policies based upon what the incident might be that occurred on campus.
And this covers everybody, so it could be two employees, it
Yeah.
could be
Yeah.
two students, it could be employee, student.
Member of the community that's on
Anybody.
campus.
Yeah,
The bottom line is if it happens on our campus
It's where- yeah.
or our property, I should say.
Possible.
Yeah.
Okay,
And the staff gets some training.
We will, in fact, the administrative rules that we're working on right now call out the training that needs to occur on a regular basis.
Because that's a lot of times they go, well, I didn't know.
Yes, exactly. And some of it will be in, if it's on the student side, a lot of that will be handled through our student services area, student services department with our student onboarding, right? And if it's staff, a lot of that will get handled through human resources department when we onboard employees.
anything else on that? Questions? Okay, we'll move on to item F, which is rescinding board policy 203, posters and notices.
Yes, you all adopted a policy a while ago, sometime last year. This one should have been rescinded at the time when we adopted that policy. And we were just doing some cleanup and noticed that this particular policy is covered in one that you had adopted previously. So we just
Okay.
need to sunset it.
Okay, any questions about that?
And we rescind board policy 203, posters and notices.
A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. And item G is KTCB radio discussion. This is exciting.
Yes. So I'll provide a little background here and then I'll ask, Lori's going to go get Nicole Clark, who has some experience in community radio to comment a little bit. So this summer, we were approached by the program director at KMUN, which is a community radio station in Astoria. They rebroadcast their programming through KTCB, which is 89.5 FM here locally. They don't do, my understanding, it's been quite some time since they've done any Tillamook specific, community specific programming. Rather, they've just been rebroadcasting or broadcasting their programming. They approached, I guess Mary Faith knows the director about, is there anybody in Tillamook where they really want this? They don't feel they're doing a good service to the residents of Tillamook County by just broadcasting Clatsop County programming, right, or programming from Astoria. So they asked if there would be any interest in the college perhaps taking over the licensing for KTCB. They would donate the license to us basically, and I'm sure that there are. I've tried to capture a lot of the expenses that would be there, but I'm sure that there are annual fees associated.
outweigh the potential benefits, like I said, if we can get enough engagement right. I did ask Nicole Clark, who you all probably know. So interesting as I was soliciting around campus about the potential for this and what people thought about it. And I will be honest, the responses have been mixed. Some people feel it adds to our mission. Some people feel it takes away from our mission. The fear around whose plate is this going to fall on that's already full. I understand all of those things. So we would want, the next steps for us at the college is to really work on a more detailed business plan about how to support this and staff. Nicole does have experience in this, interesting enough. Nicole worked as a programmer at a community radio station throughout college. And do you want to share a little bit about your history there and whatever else you feel this might be relevant for this conversation, Nicole?
Yeah, I just wrote a little something up so my mind doesn't go blank in front of you all. So just take a few minutes of your time. Yeah, I'm Nicole Clark. For those I met most of you, but there's a few on the board I haven't. Instructional design and technology specialist here. But I'm here tonight to share my experience with college and community radio and why I believe this is a wonderful opportunity for our college and our community. When I attended college, I became involved in the campus radio station at the Evergreen State College called Chaos. Really fun call letters, AOS.
What it ended up becoming was actually one of the highlights of my educational journey. So much so that it would actually change the trajectory of my schooling in the future. Several years later, it's continued to inspire me, and I believe that radio can have the same transformative power with our students and our community. Being involved in campus radio sparked something in me, a new sense of confidence and purpose. Over the next few years, I grew immensely, both personally and professionally. I gained confidence in communicating with everyone from fellow students to community members to music promoters. I discovered my love for public media, even shifting my degree to study media communications. It was that powerful. Lastly, I made lasting connections with people. As our dear friend John Sandusky, who you may know, says in his College Success and Survival course, the research says that many students drop out simply because they didn't make a friend. And we all know how important it is for students to feel connected. Having a community radio station on campus would give students an opportunity to make friends, feel like they are part of something meaningful, and they can contribute to it in many different ways. They could have a show, they could help with station functions. They can even just hang out and listen to some really cool music or programming. So I would go on to become a DJ, playing a mix of local and independent artists and highlighting local news and topics of interest. What stood out to me was how community radio seeks to amplify voices that often go unheard in mainstream media. One of the quotes there from our general manager at the time. Having a campus station at TBCC would provide an outlet for independent artists and local content, highlighting news, events, and issues that matter to our community. Radio is an accessible tool as well. It reaches far and wide at the turn of a dial, and nowadays it can stream online. The nice thing about radio is it transforms. Later, I would take part in a work-study program to become the office manager and eventually music director. Professionally, I got to learn so many valuable skills in these roles, from direct media, technology, and radio experience to broader transferable skills in office management, customer service, and time management. Years later, I would take these skills to the Bay City Arts Center as a board member and volunteer to help oversee the low-power FM. I also use my skills in radio daily at my job here at the college. Other students I worked with used their experiences to become concert promoters, audio engineers, video producers, and a lot of other students went into completely different fields, but these were all transferable skills. So in conclusion, with the campus radio station, our students can learn important skills like I was able to. Community radio is not just radio, it is a learning lab. It gives students a hands-on experience with a variety of media, technology, and other skills such as marketing and business fundamentals. It's a place for discovery, exploration, and connection. Community members can continue lifelong learning, and they can be connected with TBCC too. Can you imagine how valuable it would be for our students if they could have a place like this to grow their skills in a place supported by us? So I want students to find their passion like I did, or even to find a place to belong, to have fun, to learn, to grow. No matter their path, they will gain a sense of connection and further their learning. I can only imagine it will help retain our students too. Your support in investing in campus station would bridge barriers, foster connection, and give a voice to the underrepresented. It would produce content that reflects our diverse community and brings people together. I am forever thankful for my experiences in community radio and hope that our students can experience this too. And these are a lot of fun moments that I've had that I hope our students can too. Thank you.
So we would probably, it doesn't need a lot of space, the studio. We would either repurpose one, we would not, I would imagine this rolling out for us, we would spend a year in planning and getting everything ready, and this would roll out when the new facility opens. It's just part of that whole experience. It would either be in the new building. I think there would be, places we could locate something like this. We do have the space that's unclaimed in there, or it could be part of a reimagining of the space here once we've shipped people out. We clearly don't have room right now to make them do it unless we open up that wall. What's that? Oh, it would, we would do it on campus, right? It would be one of the.
And the other is a good avenue to do interviews. And we're laughing right now. We've Shocker, It's lots of things that people go, well, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about this, I didn't know about that.
Bring your basic arts, right? I mean, to be able to, all of that, it's like so many people don't even know of that tool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The community theater, the choir, it's all the same thing.
Yeah, and I think the thing, you know, I thought about where, and I don't know the radio and communication landscape here in the county really well, but the goal would never be to, I mean, we're not gonna compete with anything that's currently out there. It would be about how do we complement what's already there. And I think, the other piece, I think, when I think about students, and it dawned on me when Nicole was speaking there, that like, most colleges have something for students to go around, whether it's sports or this or that. And I was just talking with Riley last week, our new student body president, about student engagement and what are things to do, and they're looking for ways to be engaged and to get engaged. So I think that it would be important. It would play a role for the college, but I think also I would like to see it serve the community as well, especially members of Tillamook County that aren't currently seen as a strong audience for any of the radio stations, whether that's Spanish speaking or something else.
Are there other colleges in our area that have done this successfully, and would you like to reach out to them and is this, or would we be like relevant?
No, it's challenging. I would say there aren't many small colleges that have done this. Again, because it's a competition for resources and it is risky. Yeah, I would have to do some research. At Lane, we had a public radio station, KLCC, but again, very, very publicly funded, large, and obviously passing TBCC we have on there. So I mean, but again, those are much larger institutions with deeper pockets.
This can be great.
And I have had a classmate in college, and he was on our local college station. And we ended up being nightly UC news guy, he's still there. Irish. So, they could develop careers that they wouldn't really know about it. What is it,
I think it's two. I don't know that answer. I think it's probably twofold. One, I mean, I think it's a resource that they are expensing. So there's an expense associated to them for this, that they're not seeing a return on that investment because they're focused much more heavily on Astoria and Classic County, Astoria. So I think that they just don't feel like by maintaining this, that they're doing the residents of the county any good. So there's another use of that letters, and they were very clear about not wanting to just sell it to the license for someone to have a for-profit station or whatever. So they're really attracted to
For which avenue?
we don't have a very good advertising budget.
So to put it in perspective, like something that costs us about $30,000 a year is sending out our schedule to 14,000 households 4 times a year.
That's probably the largest expense
It is the largest
that we would
expense.
consider marketing and advertising.
Yeah,
Apart from that, we do
about 10,000 over the course of the year for some different ads for all of our departments. But student service registration ads, ABE, foundation ads, all of that. So it's large.
there a course or a degree or certificate that, this can support?
Not currently. Interestingly enough, before this was brought to us, one of our HIPA instructors reached out to Peter about working with Neocami High School on a sound engineering program. They have a sound engineering studio and equipment, and he was looking for the person, I can't recall his name, John, I think it is, who's the music director of. Yeah, Don back in the office, but the music director in the was Michael. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, Michael.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard what he's,
Yeah, it's
what
great,
he's gonna do.
great guy.
He got all his stuff to do a studio.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's interested in partnering, and I just ran into him at the art show Saturday also. And I don't know, Nicole, if you got a chance to talk with him.
Yeah, awesome plans, yes.
So they hit it from two ends of the spectrum. Nicole is much more experienced on the programming side, music director, programming director side. He's much more of a sound engineer, technical person, and so they started talking about that. I just talked to Nicole about the opportunity to still for this. So I think that there's some local opportunities within County High School to partner together. I mean, we have to be honest though that if you were to look at the job market, labor market, and say, should we be turning out sound engineers in Sullivan County? The answer to that's probably no. But I think that there's a couple things, and Nicole mentioned it briefly, that I do believe anything in communications, this included, those are transferable skills, right? And they certainly enhance a business, a program, all of those things I think that are kind of value added. I think that, you know, and then there are people that are just interested in taking courses like that because they want to do their own recording or producing or whatever. But I don't think that it would be a huge demand for that here. Now, I don't know what there is in, I don't think anywhere, I know the two, just north and south of us, they don't have anything. PCC probably has something, but I'm not exactly sure.
At least some aspect of marketing.
Yes.
Sure. Maybe 75.
Yeah, I think that where I would see this dovetailing into our business program, probably in one way or the other. I think also we could take advantage of it in our communication classes and things like that as an avenue for that. And then the partnerships that we may get, you know, where we could do a small certificate of sound engineering or something like that. That's not, you know, huge drain on us. Again, it's a new credit card partner.
This might be a question for Nicole, but how do you get visitors?
Sorry, what was the question?
How do you get visitors?
Well, lots of ways. I think, you know, online is probably your biggest way. You know, you set up social media, different avenues, word of mouth, especially in a small community. I mean, you know, Bay City Arts Center, it's just you're holding workshops there, for example, then you mention this and they hear that on the radio. Sometimes it'll be people like I discovered stations just by flipping through the dial and hearing something I like. So it's really so many avenues. Oftentimes for community stations, you'll get support by underwriting with businesses. And so that's a mutually beneficial agreement too. They'll advertise, you'll advertise, and you hear of it that way too. So basically lots of ways.
Yeah, and I think we would have, you know, the past couple events that we had that were really successful, I would have had a live radio there. I mean, we had a Halloween here that was huge. We had our Latinx cultural appreciation meeting that was huge. So I mean, I think that those build that. I think most of it's going to build through word of mouth, right, and community, and you know, TBCC is well respected in the community, and I think that if we, you know, if we marketed the radio station well, I mean, I think the TBCC brand will help carry some of that over because the community does respect it.
Yeah, I listened to that story.
Mhm.
I was.
Yeah.
Don't listen to.
Mhm. Oh.
Don't play my music.
Well, you'll have to.
They
have
used
a
to play.
radio show.
Andrea, do you have any comments or questions?
No, it's just, well, a comment, I guess. Yeah, it sounds very exciting and you know, I'm wanting to just jump in and have it happen. I think it would add a lot to the TBCC community and would be a great thing, but yeah, you got to think about the risks and I don't know so much about that.
Thank you.
You know, and what happens if if we get in and it's great, and then the students graduate and we don't have the same students who would have the same interest, and it kind of shrivels up. That would be my concern.
I would consider it to be a opportunity for students, not that it's run by students. I think that would be a little too risky because we have too much student turnover and so we'd have to
Yeah.
have some internal continuity.
We would feel more.
You said earlier that you had some people that thought it was great, some people thought it was not great. People thought it was not great, why?
I think it was is it really, so I think two center around two areas. Is it really mission centric, right? So does investing time and energy into something like this take away from our mission, right? And does it compete with the other things that we're going to do right now that are also building? So I think that was these competition for time, maybe. And the other one I think was just resources. Again, if we're going to be successful, we have to build a structure around it. I think that it would cost money initially. I would build this into an enterprise account, probably is how I would work it, much like with the community space that we have in the building, like this is our community engagement kind of thing, and we would need to work to have this be self-sufficient, right? That won't happen initially. So, we have a 5-year plan where we can get to the point where this enterprise is supporting itself with the community space and community station. But we would be devoting resources away from something to this initially. And I think those were, I don't know if anybody here has any, feel free if you have concerns or good, bad, or different among the leadership team. I did, I've chatted with everybody about it and some of them have good thoughts, not so good thoughts.
The question I had is if it doesn't work out after 3 or 4 years, what was, can we just get out or no, we have to resell it? So it's something, are we stuck with it, but what, just try it.
No direct revenue potential if we're not able to use advertising and competition with a good community partner that we currently have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mine was, if it's for students and removing barriers or great opportunities. I was thinking if we're going into something and a subsidized daycare or something to more students to be able to go to school. And that could help staff and students and so that we are a route, like this is one of the areas where we're first hit is daycare. So if we're going to arrange something that's supporting more students equally across the board and staff, then bring that money into even helping a local daycare or having some kind of group that would be more beneficial.
Well, if you could make it self-sustaining and it wasn't a money top thing, does that change your opinion? So the reason why I say that is our companies have sponsored NPR, over time. And it's a lot more expensive than this. But I don't know what the listener opportunity is. So it's hard to know that without doing a pro forma or hearing from the college and how that all works out, but it seems costing low to me, because I think could be self-sustaining from sponsorships.
Is there a restriction on income?
As community radio, they don't follow the advertising, they have sponsorships. And so, when I was at the hospital had paid sponsorships with KMUN and it looks a lot like advertising, but it's and so there's all kinds of different opportunities.
I was upset on yours. Yes. Yeah, they like to do that. Yeah, and they spend quite a bit of money, buying, programming from, OPD, which, no, you wouldn't have to do.
Yeah.
So, I was excited about this possibility and I hope that we move forward, just explore it more. I hope we move forward in the sense of, let's do a business pro forma. Let's see, let's learn more about what it would look like. I don't think we'd be stuck with it forever. If it didn't work, just because obviously, KMUN is gifting it to another community. And when Susan Peterson talked to me about it, she said, we could sell it, but as a board, they're passionate about community radio. So they want to give it to some organization that's going to continue in providing community radio. And she, if we're interested in learning more about this, we should invite Susan to come talk to us about it, because she was so passionate about it. Just listening to her talk about it got me excited. She was talking about the possibilities for Spanish programming, thinking the possibilities for getting young people involved, for getting people in high school or even in middle school involved, because then they'd be interested in community, they'd be interested in radio, they'd also be interested in the college. And I thought, yeah, that's a very good. And it's just, there's so much potential. And I was hearing Connie Green's voice in my head saying, community is our middle name. There's so much that we could do. And also, I'm involved with KTIL and I agree, I wouldn't want to compete with KTIL. So I think as a community partner, we would have to feel our way through that and figure out what are the things that are theirs that we're not going to compete with. But I just think there's a lot of opportunity here, and it's relatively cheap. And so I hope we explore the idea some more. If we were asked tonight to decide yes or no, I don't think we have nothing to make it. But I'm interested in the idea. How long is it was pretty broad, didn't you think? Well, I asked Susan, so could be every year, and she's maybe, and her reasoning there, Paul described it, but she said that they don't feel like they really want this radio station to represent this community, and they're not. They're representing Hudson County. And it's a beloved radio station. People who live in North County listen to it a lot, and so they listen to KMUN. So when they're like past wherever the cutoff is, Garibaldi-ish, they switch to KTCB. So they'll continue listening to the programming they're used to on KMUN. So but I think the question of how do we get people to listen to the new radio station is a good one, but I think there's real potential in this community, because I am amazed at how many radio listeners there are locally. There really are. I'm on the radio several times a month for county business, and people say to me all the time,
They're out in the bar.
right? But people have it on in their office. They say, oh, I listen to that show every single Tuesday morning, and people talk to me about the things they learn on, we have a public meeting on the radio every Tuesday morning, and people tune into it like they're regulars. So our community loves radio, and it would be a way for the college to engage.
And every now and then I just hit that search button on the radio to see if there's something else out there, and there's just so few that I think you'd find people.
Oh, and it'd be fun. I think it'd be a fun thing for students, but also for staff. It'd be fun. Yeah.
I've got mine up.
What I heard about is that, I don't remember who was the interest, but I heard that we had a group of staff playing musicians playing music for our students, to welcome our students. And I thought that thing could be on the radio, there's so many possibilities.
So what's the action you take?
So basically, I just wanted to, this is the first time to engage all of you in this conversation around this, right? I wouldn't want to go down a path that ultimately the board wouldn't support, right? I do think that, while on some levels, this is an operational decision, I think it's a bigger decision than that, and certainly needs to have, engagement and support from the board before the project go down that road. So if, I mean, personally, myself, I would love to continue the conversation and try to get more information. I think that, as I mentioned in the prospectus, I think the good outweighs, at least from my first approximation, the benefits outweigh the risks or the costs associated with it. And again, from 2 points of view, right? I mean, I think that there's a large swath of folks in Tillamook County that the current radio opportunities don't hit, for one reason or another. And they clearly don't serve student engagement for us, right? So I do think that there's a lot of opportunity for us to reach out to, again, that's what we do. We reach out to underrepresented groups of people, and we try to make them feel a bigger part of the community than they feel they are. And I think this is another way for us to do that as a college. I don't think it's, when I look at the mission of a community college, I do think that a mission that is not as highlighted as strongly as it should be, especially in small rural communities, is the role that the community college plays as convening the community. And this is a way to, apart from, you might not need this in Portland or in Eugene or whatever, it's just different, right? I mean, I think we play a big role as a community convener, and this is another way to reach the community and to support the community. And I also feel like we are an institution that does not provide a lot of opportunity for student engagement outside of things related to their study. I am a biologist by training, but I will, and a college administrator by profession, but I will tell you, I've had a passion to have a bluegrass and more radio show forever, right? You know, so I mean, I think that there's those things.
Yes. Crisis. And well, some usually still be alive, and I know when we used to have our floods and things going on, and the teachers sometimes would say, well, we don't have any power. I can't listen to the radio. I go, well, you can watch your power. You can hear it out in the car. So a news thing about what's going on to go when the power's up. I mean, there are part of your safety plan. Yeah, and you're part of that. And radio operators. Very strong.
Do we have someone in the leadership team that would be good at building some sort of a pro forma that would help us understand to do something?
We have lots of smart people that figure it out. I would think it would be a group effort. I mean, I'm happy to tackle this one. I know
And the
that.
other colleagues that have.
Right,
They would
look at
provide.
kind of see how they got started. And
Nicole's offered to have me with some other nuts and bolts things.
then Michael up in the corner is fabulous.
Yes.
His second.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, he is fabulous.
And he's having good.
He cut off all his hair out.
I know.
I didn't recognize it.
I think that was
That's-
the people that were worried. It was, we want people gonna do it, we wanna do it well and succeed. Not to
I was talking to Susan Peterson about it, about, what does it look like on a daily basis? And she said, well, it's really changed from the time that people were actually in the studio for all of the programming. Now, a lot of it is pre-recorded. And she said that they have people coming out of the woodwork to do things like, they have a bedtime stories show, and everybody wants to read bedtime stories, because it plays every night at 7:30 or 8 o'clock or whatever. And she said, I have like a year of pre-recorded bedtime stories, and everybody wants to do that. And there are a lot of those kinds of opportunities where you have a flurry of recording, and then that, you know, you'll be able to play it for months.
Well, the interviews don't have to be sitting next to each other anymore. It's a lot easier these days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and, you know, we've already mentioned this a couple of times, but Spanish programming, there just isn't any. So that would be an amazing way to convene the community. There used to be something.
Sunday nights, I can sing it.
Oh,
But I don't know, so. It was a Spanish newspaper for a short amount of time, but it's continued, which we were really excited about, but.
Okay, do we need to take any action on this?
Direct me to get you more information and I'll do it.
Okay, by consensus, or do you want us to vote? If we all. Feel good about consensus? Okay. All right, then. Thank you for that discussion. That was a great discussion. And thank you for that. Yes, thanks. Great. All right, we'll move on to item 5. Information only items, starting with mission fulfillment, fall to winter persistence.
Awesome. Yeah, Michelle's gonna bring up some slides, for us, and this is our, ongoing series of mission fulfillment, metrics. So as you'll recall, instead of indicating all of our metrics. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Nicole. I'm grateful. Instead of inundating you with all of our metrics as a part of the walking through them, one by one, and tonight we'll talk about, fall to winter persistence. And the goal here is to focus on one metric, to look at the trend in performance on that metric, and then to talk about the work that particular team or teams have done around that metric, to illustrate the impact that they've had. And so we're on metric number 3, fall to winter persistence. Do you want to click to the next one? On the chart. And so everyone's favorite diagram, of course, we always have to show it, it's required, it's by law that we should. But just to illustrate, so so we always think about in terms of our strategic plan and in terms of institutional effectiveness, we always think about our priority objectives and metrics sit at the top, but with the work that we're doing today is really thinking about that quality improvement cycle, right? We have particular objectives and specific projects or work that we're doing to drive that metric, and that's what the coaches from Rhoda's team and Kelly's team, that's what they're going to be talking about today, is the work that they're doing to drive fall to winter persistence. So fall to winter persistence is the percentage of students, new to TBCC students who register in the fall term, who re-enroll in winter term. And that phrase new to TBCC students means they are new undergraduate students. When we say new to TBCC means they may have enrolled as undergraduate students at other colleges, but they're new to us, right? So that includes transfer students, but they're new to us. They may be students who enrolled as dual credit students, so they may come in with dual credit credits. But when they're dual credit students, they're not really undergraduate students, they're taking their courses, but they're high school students. So these are students who are new as undergraduate students, which is kind of what the likely text says. So looking at the next slide, we get a little chart. So exciting, just what we all needed at 6:15. It's going to spark things up. So energizes me. It lulls me out of my seat. And I think that we've talked about this at, I'm sure I've shown you data like these in the past. When we think about
the metrics that we set for ourselves, it's important certainly that we look at how our performance changes over time. And of course, we always want those lines to slope up. For the most part, depends on the metric, but for the most part, we want those lines to slope up. We want to see improvement over time. But we also want to compare our performance with colleges who are similar to us, right? And so that kind of mustardy yellow, yellow-brown line are a group of colleges who are similar to us, right? Of VFA peers. VFA stands for a Voluntary Framework of America, something like that. It's just trust me, a group of colleges who are similar to us. And so we can compare their performance, and that line kind of fluctuates a bit. It lags because colleges across the US contribute their data to this national data system. And I know what our data is term to term, and so I can tell you what our data is for last fall, but I can't always extract that data in a timely way, right? So I don't have current data for our VFA peers, and so it lags a little bit. But I show you this slide to illustrate the beautiful slope of this line over the last 3 years, from 67.7% to 74.4% to 76% last year, right? So what that means is of the 105 students, right? We all know these 105, right? These are your 105, yeah? 105 students who enrolled, new to TBCC students who enrolled last fall, 76% of them re-enrolled in winter, right? Came back in winter. 76%. Well,
That's great.
yeah,
It is
it's
amazing.
great, right? It's great. It's very cool. And so what I asked the coaches to come here today to do is to talk to you about why. Now, we don't do experiments, and so I can't prove to you that what they did specifically is why at 76%. Well, let's be real, we know why. It's because of the work of the coaches, right? They made some really significant changes and improvements in the processes and the ways that they interact with students over the last couple of years. And we can really point to those improvements, and I think that this really demonstrates the impact of their work. And so next slide. And so we're going to talk to you about those improvements. And so, Clara, you want to talk about being trained in case management?
Yeah, I feel like I should say that.
Yeah, sure.
My name is Clara. I work with our healthcare program students and also nature and outdoors, so like agriculture and forestry. And so first off, we did a lot of training in case management. When the 3 of us success coaches were hired, none of us actually had a background in advising. So we have built our roles and our manuals and learned how to do our jobs. And part of that has been some trainings. So just this last summer, we became certified career services providers in the National NCDA, National Career Development Association. And so in that training, we learned a lot about how we can facilitate students kind of discovering new job pathways. How can we help them gain career experience? And these are activities that we participate in with students in every meeting that we have with them. From the start, from our first meeting with students, we're talking to them about what do they want to accomplish? What's their long-term goal? And we help them come up with a pathway, both educationally, but professionally to get there. And I think another big thing that has come out of all of this training and kind of developing processes and systems that has really affected fall to winter persistence is we each have developed our own running student list where we keep track of each and every one of our students, and we color grade them on if they're high need or low need, and we've got our own personalized notes there. So we truly know each and every one of these students and what are their goals, and do they like math or writing more, and so all of these things have really played into how can we support our students best and in a holistic way.
Awesome. And Jude, do you want to talk about the advising handbook?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jude. I know most of you, but I am
one of the success coaches here, and I advise for machine industry tech for business and temporarily for the apprentices, and I'm also a welding instructor. So we built the Success Coach Handbook. So it is a running of the job that is entailed with this. We tried to kind of create like an overarching establishing shot, a look of this job, like where do we fit into the company? So like, for instance, the Success Coach fits under student services, fits under Rhoda, fits under call. So we just tried to kind of make a very approachable system where you can go through and basically see everything that we touch. And it always feels like it's more, and it just grows and grows. But one of the things that we were really excited about was creating scripts for all of us to follow. So of course we individualize, but we have scripts for everything, like everything. We utilize a system called Dropout Detective with instructors so that they can reach out and say, hey, the student isn't where they're supposed to be. Then we contact them, and then we have different directives to send out to that student. And I think with the touch and the personal commitment to the student, like we send them little encouragements, like they love babies and puppies. So yeah, but yeah, we get them to imprint with us. They understand what we're here and our motivation to help them.
I love the idea of scripts, right? Because then you know that every student is getting a consistent and a really clear message, right? You know the information is getting to them and it's consistent and it's clear, and that makes so much sense.
And it's never a question, did that student get reached? Absolutely, every single student gets reached.
Have you ever had pushback or somebody doesn't want to?
Oh, absolutely. For sure, there are certain students who are like,
handle that?
it depends on the student. Everything is tailored and focused to that student, but we do have students who are like, what, this is not my first rodeo, just let me do what I'm doing. And so we make notes. We know next time a lighter touch is needed.
Exactly. Thank you.
So another sort of big document, a living document. Oh, hello, my name is David Utel. I advise for people, so helping profession, education, people oriented stuff, arts and letters, science and math, and undecided. And I'm also an adjunct, and I also support editing with full credit. So another big document that we worked on to create was a desk manual. So this is really a week by week snapshot throughout the term of what we should be working on, the sort of main touch points with students, with instructors, with other people within the college. So this has tasks, again, week by week. So week 0, before the term starts, we're doing our new student orientation. We're making sure that our new students have their emails, versus week 8, we're processing any potential withdrawals, working with students who are kind of towing the line. Are you going to be successful? What does that plan look like? So we've got these specific tasks for these sort of main times throughout the term. And then also in this document, we have live links that link to our resource documents, to our scripts, to specific contacts within the college. So this is great in the times when students aren't knocking down our door because our job is so reactive. Like, oh yeah, what am I supposed to be working on? Quick reflection on this desk manual. I'm taking the next one too. We're really working to have a framework of consistency. So we are all our own individual people. We have our own styles, but going back to these scripts, we're working on making sure all of our students have a similar message, so that if they flop between different programs, different coaches, they're all getting the same thing. They can't sort of play the field and get different perspectives or different rules for different coaches. And we're also making sure that we have set deadlines and that we're sticking to them. All of this is, I come from a background in mental health. And so I know that having more guidelines for students, having more of an outline for them to live within, it helps them know where they stand, and it doesn't allow for that anxiety of like, I'm not really sure where to go. I'm not really sure what to do. We provide a ton of stuff up front in their new student orientation of these are the policies and procedures. And then as things pop up, as it becomes relevant to them, whoever they go to in our advising, they're gonna get the same answer. And you stick to that, because it can be really anxiety inducing for students if they don't know what the hard boundary is, what the hard line is. And it really sets them up for more success down the line. If we stick to, you need to get this in by then, it's not gonna be a rolling deadline. We know that when they have that deadline, they're more successful.
So we lovingly call our new area that we have all of our little cubes in the advising suite. It's lovely. We have enjoyed being so close and accessible to our students. We've seen the panicked look when they come in from a final in tears and they don't have to go down, no offense, the administration area can be a little intimidating. It's like the glass door, you know, so they feel like they can reach us maybe a little bit more than maybe they should. But we're happy to be there, and I think it's an important move, and it was spot on, exactly what the students needed. And it's a lovely room.
Yeah, in case you didn't know, there's one roof in the building where you can see the angle of the roof, and it's our ceiling. So lastly, it's a team effort. Now that we're upstairs, we're a lot closer to the learning lounge, to the classrooms where the students are. They're more comfortable coming and talking to us. But now that we've been working with our colleagues for 2, almost 3 years, we're also just better at our roles. We're better at working together with financial aid to support students. And just in the last couple of years, the first generation program has begun, which means some student teams have an advisor, a success coach, and a first generation mentor. So all of these changes have allowed us to really build a team to support students, and they have several touch points to kind of talk to someone about their issues. Just the other day, I have a student who met with their first generation mentor for the first time, and they had already met with us to set up their financial aid. They had the scholarships they qualified for. Everything was set up. They were in the right classes. When they met with their first generation mentor, I'm sure it was a lovely interaction. And their mentor came back to me and said, hey, they told me they're paying for school out of pocket. Is there anything that we can do? And that was just such an amazing moment, because I knew that this student had people rooting for her, there for her, to advocate for her. And so we established that the student had all the financial aid they qualify for, which they're not having to pay out of pocket. They don't qualify for a Pell Grant, but they got a scholarship from us for $500 a term, which is about 1/3 of their bill. And they're very successful. They're doing very good. So yeah, teamwork. It's a team effort to support students, and we're all about holistic support.
Yes, Tanner, jump on in.
Yeah, hello. My name's Taylor Howard. I'm new to this team. I'm the 4th success coach, kind of. I was hired as a transfer advisor. My position is partially funded through Oregon State and partially funded through TBCC. And it's an amazing group of people to work with. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. But one of the neat components of my job now is to show students the possibilities beyond these walls. And Riley and I recently with Clara took some students down to Oregon State University to check out the new forestry building and attend the forestry career fair down there. And I hope you can agree that it was an enlightening experience for, you know, the students were walking up some stairs and said, this is a lot bigger than TBCC. But also, you know, they got to explore the campus and see what life might look like after they're done here. And so I'm really excited to continue building those connections, not just with OSU, but with other colleges, and get our students into the programs that they want to pursue with what that they want in their lives. So, nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is such a great team. We've worked so amazingly as a part of the Title III work. We meet quarterly to talk about the cohort and to talk about all of the data collection that these folks do as a part of Title III, and it's probably more than they ever wanted to do. But what's really impressed me is how well they know that 105 students. I think in our cohort this fall, I think we have 125 students, so we have more students this fall, which is amazing. We're pretty close to tightening up that cohort. But I know that they know those 105 students because every time my data's wrong, they catch it. I'll say, oh, that's a transfer student. They'll say, that's not a transfer student. She's new. She just came from Philadelphia. But they catch those errors because they know those students. They know them one-on-one and they know them really well. And that's the only way I want to be wrong, right? It's in those kind of interactions. Yeah, it's been a great collaboration, and yeah, they're growing leaps and bounds, and this is an amazing team.
Thank you.
To comment briefly, I'm very proud of the work that team has done. About a year and a half ago, we did some restructuring in student services, and Kelly McKeon took on a role as the director of student success and oversees the advising and these individuals that just spoke, and has done a really good job of putting them together. So thank you for that, Kelly, and the hard work of all the success coaches. It's been spectacular. And thanks to Eileen, who's on Zoom there. Eileen too has also provided a lot of support, both fiscally and professionally to the coaches, and you all have done really good work over the past year. So thank you for that.
I'm grateful for this presentation. I've learned a lot tonight about what you all do. I didn't know all of that. I knew little pieces of it. And I just think that the work is so important. I think it's very clear that a lot of learning happens in the context of relationships. Very clear. And the support that you provide students is outstanding. I met with my first generation student, and she told me how I asked, you know, what are your challenges and what are the things that are most helpful to you? And she said, Clara. She mentioned it a couple times. Clara's been so helpful to me. She's been so encouraging and supportive, and she's helped me figure out this and that. And so it was all about Clara in that meeting, and so it helped me learn like how meaningful that work is and what a big impact you're having. And I was thinking, listening to you talk tonight, that it's kind of like navigators. And I'll share a brief personal story. I'm a breast cancer survivor. And when I went through that, I had a nurse navigator, and it was so helpful because there's so much to learn. And that has to be true. It is true for first generation students, especially also, you know, there's so much to learn about all the different doctors and the different treatments and how are you going to pay for it, and what does this mean, and what does that mean, and what kind of tests and the order of things. And it was overwhelming. So to have one person assigned to, like, I will help you get through this, was remarkable. And so to be applying that principle in education, it's just beautiful. So well done. Thank you.
I really appreciate you taking it to, we have a lot of students that, first of all, their parents may not be able to take them, but they don't have the transportation, but they've never been out of town. and they're scared. So that is so important. And I hope you reach out to them. I'm so.
Like the university board.
I guess.
Only because we have.
Anything else on this?
Good work.
Very well.
Thank you.
That we can move on to the ASTBCC report, and I believe we have a new ASTBCC president. Welcome.
Okay. Hello, my name is Veronica Collinsworth. I'm the president. And our vice president is Early Villa, and all of our people are named, but Billy Ludwig is our office manager, Morgan Cooper is our finance manager, and Anaí Fuentes is our. And, yeah, well, we've had some ideas, we had a meeting with Paul last Friday, and discussed some ideas. The main one that we've been working on currently is our daily needs drive. Kind of started out as an idea for a food drive. And then we kind of like talked about it and thought that stuff like laundry detergent, toilet paper, specifically men's and children's clothing are a big need for people on campus and just in general. And so we're going to be doing a drive based on that. And I think we have like a thermometer that we're going to make. For like a goal to kind of motivate people to donate and stuff. And yeah, that'll be exciting to be happening in November. Yeah, and then also we have a holiday lobby event with crafts that we're trying to plan, just like because one of our big things that we talk about is more community involvement. And we thought that that could be a good thing during the holidays to get people like on campus and involved, and even just like with families and people in the community to come and have some fun for the holidays and do some fun crafts. Another one of our ideas is surrounding supporting students on campus and like finding ways to have food on campus. We talked about last week an idea of like a student store, but like for now just at least having snacks out for students and just having some kind of access to some kind of food or snacks for either people who live far away and can't go back home for lunch or in between classes, or people who don't have as much access to food in their everyday life, and just stuff like that. And then lastly, another one of our like talking points we've been discussing is about the tutoring and learning rounds and kind of spreading awareness about that. Because we kind of figured out that not many people know much about it, and Morgan Cooper is a tutor in the learning lab. He kind of said that he thinks people don't really know about the kind of resources that they have to learn on, like how they can read papers and stuff like that there. And yeah, maybe we get kind of more involved in that and kind of spreading awareness, having people get the resources that we have available and taking advantage of that.
Well done, Riley. Thank you. Yeah. Welcome to our meeting. Thank you for taking on the responsibility of being president. I appreciated your report, and I want to invite you to, when you're doing a drive, like you were talking about laundry, soap, toiletry, and children's clothing, if you're doing something like that the board can participate in, will you please just shoot a note to Lori, and Lori can communicate with us? You know, because I think we would like to participate. We would like to bring stuff in for your drive if we know about it. So that'd be great. Thank you. Anything else for Rebecca? Then let's move on to the construction update.
Thank you. So, busy. We've been constantly educating subcontractors on the definition of ready. So I've been jumping up and down for months and months. No one really believes me, but now they're figuring it out real quick.
They're not from here.
They're definitely not from here. And I've heard many times about Coos Bay or Lincoln City and so on and so forth, but we get almost 20 inches a year more than, for example, Coos Bay. These are other cities where larger subcontractors have been working. So we're educating them on rain. So things are going well. I'll just flip through these. Most everyone's seen most of these slides, but at the end we have a few updates. Our beautiful campus, our solar pavilion that we've been working on, our new parking plan, which I think everyone's seen quite a few times now, which has been working out really well. I think we have for the situation, our parking and flow of traffic has been working out very well. So knock on wood, that's going to keep working.
Big pothole.
Yes, the pothole goes away in about 2 weeks. We're ripping that all out.
Yeah.
So that's why we're just kind of stretching it out. That gets ripped up and replaced here in about 2 weeks. So lots been going on. A couple of slides just showing the process, the demo of the old shop. A lot of storm work in the ground. We have 3,300 feet of storm line that's been put in, as well as our multiple storage tanks. Those are beautiful storage tanks that hold all this lovely rainwater. And the geo piers that went in, those are all in. So where we're at now is footings. So we have successfully installed all of our footings for the building. We have had 2 major concrete pours of over 300 yards of concrete just in the footings, which are complete, and they're starting to put the stem walls on the footings. We're going to start slowly go vertical, which will be really fun. So we're going to start coming out of the ground. So these are the footings that are all over those geo piers, just miles and miles of rebar in those footings. And there's some of the beautiful poured footings there. Kind of a fun picture.
Etched in one of them.
We have not etched any names yet. I was holding them out for
You
the
just
big
haven't
slab.
found it yet.
Yes. So this was just a couple of our big concrete pours, kind of a cool picture with the sunset. We're starting our electrical work. So we have quite a bit of electrical rerouting that's happening on the project. We've been working with TPUD. We do have a scheduled outage on December 16th. So we'll be taking the campus offline for a day because we are rerouting a lot of power around the building. So that work is all in progress. And these are some of the vaults they're setting that will kind of reroute that power and connect it all back together between us, the fairgrounds, a lot of 3rd Street, a lot of the residents around us are all actually powered out of a main transformer that sits out by where the old facility shed was. So we're removing a lot of that power. That's been going on. Currently for budget, we've spent a little bit over $3 million, which is roughly 13% of our budget. So we're starting to spend a lot of money. Our bills keep going up. We're starting to see progress, which is good. The next slide is our contingency funds. We've spent $553,480. This is roughly 60% of our contingency. And this is kind of in line where we expected to see. A lot of the unforeseens are in the ground that we've come across. So we are currently working through that. We are hopeful in the next probably 30 days to be completely out of the ground where a lot of those unforeseens will be behind us. So a lot going on. We have another big concrete pour in a week for those stem walls. And then the next big push will be for the big slab, which will be kind of that first floor of the building. And then we'll start framing up from there. The framing crew is scheduled to start the first week of December. That is when we will really start to see some progress coming out of the ground. So that is a quick update on the HED building. The CIT building, we've been very busy. We go in front of the City of Tillamook Planning Commission on Thursday night for a conditional zoning use change. We anticipate that being approved. All our documents are ready to go. As soon as that's approved, they'll go for permitting, as well as be submitted to the EDA for review. We're very hopeful that we will still be out for bid in December for bids for the CIT project. So a lot going on there. quick updates. Any questions you'd like to answer for you?
Thank you.
You bet, and we are working, I'm hopeful we'll have all the ditch work done here in the next 2 weeks, and I'm gonna start working on tours. So we're gonna plan to get the board out for some tours. If we can start a meeting a little earlier, we may have to have just a different time where we meet, and then we'll have, my plans to have, Friday tours every Friday for staff. But we just gotta get all the ditches filled in, so it's a little bit safer. So we're getting close to start to be able to get people out and tour the site.
So we set tours at 3:30.
So you're ready.
If we have light, so
Yeah.
rain and light are gonna become an issue, but we're gonna work through them.
Okay, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And how about the financial report, Sherry?
Okay, so I'm gonna start the detail on the construction budget. So as of the end of September, we have spent about $2.2 million. But on the other hand, we received about $187,000 into revenue, which is basically our interest at the end and whatever we is left. Also, the bond, as you all know, is an $8 million match from the state because of the $2 million that we have in the bond. So I've been trying in my office, trying to do take as soon as possible so we can do started and we collect interest on them and be ready for the time that we need to spend it. So on that, if I want to give you a little bit of more updated report, is that as of today, we received $1.342 million in from that $8 million. I just afternoon before I left for this meeting, we did take for another $634,000. So basically, then this money comes into our account to almost $2 million of that $8 million fee. So that's exciting because I don't like spending money. I spend money. So that's how we are doing on that sense. And then before I go to the financial statements, because there's not much interesting stuff on it, I'm just going to give you a report about the audit that is underway. We have been continuously working on cleaning the books because, as you know, periods are not much consistent leadership in that office. The books were needed a lot of attention, but now we are at a point that I think we can have a good audit so that auditors and DPS, they're supposed to be ready in November, but we kind of delayed it a little bit more. It is up to the 5th of November, he's going to be here on campus. But he's going to look at some of our kind of remotely so that when he comes out, there's not going to be such a bad mess. So I'm hoping that we can wrap everything up the next week after the new year, because this will have to be his own stuff too. And that would put us with completion of audit sometime by the end of November, the latest in middle of December. That's cool. But I hope that my hope stays solid and admit. So with that, I'm going to go to a little financial report on the general budget as of end of September. Seems like we are doing really well in terms of the revenue. In average, we kind of overall we received 40%, 41% of our projected revenue. There are a couple of things that I want to point out. The beginning fund balance, this is as of the end of September. Part of the things that we are doing in October, we reduce it a little bit, but it's not going to go down to like 20 that we projected. So having to be more savings from the prior year than we expected. There is there are a couple of institution activities we have leadership more, again, percentage was more revenue than we anticipated. And the physics because of the nursing program and having a larger fee structure and that terms of expenses, we also are under the budget, the percent was. Part of it was because faculty had just decided, and this is what was, so we had a few personal salaries because the faculty that we need payments. Overall, I'm really anxious about the audit and if it was worth enough or not, but financially about everything else, I think we're doing very well. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any. I'm hoping that by the time that he gets here, I'm working with him and what I can provide to him in advance, but whatever he's here, either get already looked at whatever he needed before, I have it ready for him or something that, that I can. If that goes smoothly, then I don't expect that the police reports are going to be, I don't expect them to be. But then again, in November, we talked about the expectations. So if I add another, I'm hoping that knowledge that that makes it out of the report. But there are other things in there, so. Any questions?
Thanks. Any questions report? All right, thank you. I thought I would provide a brief update on enrollment. The fourth week is when census week is. Our enrollment, I'd say, fall was relatively flat. Might be up just a little bit. We are still getting in some continuing education enrollments, and so we do anticipate growth in winter and spring. We will have a new nursing cohort starting in winter that'll carry over in the spring. So both winter and spring there'll be two nursing cohorts that are going through. So that'll add to the growth. We're still on track to hit at the end of this year, probably in the 550-ish range, don't you think? Yeah, seems about right. To that. So that feels pretty good. With that, Aaron already mentioned the accreditation visit. So leave that there again. Only to point out again some of the good work that the success coaches did, and we heard that over and over again from the team. And the team also was really impressed that they met with the board of the mid-cycle. So they never really do that. So they got to meet this there. Met with Congresswoman Bonamici October 9th. Wow, it seems like Brenda and I met with Congresswoman Bonamici, was in town, and she started her day at Giancani High School, and we talked with students there and the leadership there, and then came to TBCC where we had all the superintendents here and some other folks to chat with her. And then she made her way down to Nestucca Valley School District where she worked there. All reports I had was that was a very good visit, and she's very engaged and excited to provide some support and leverage for CTE and workforce development for the area. So she was very engaged in those conversations. I mentioned Latinx night that we had the college on October 11th. I have to say that's been the highlight since I've been here. We had 160-ish in attendance. There were cultural games and crafts. I didn't expect it, but there was singing and dancing, and I even participated.
Karaoke.
Yeah, there was karaoke. I did not do the karaoke. It was in Spanish, so Bailey was here before, though. She did a Spanish song. I did dance, not very well. What's that? Texas two-step. Well, I put on here these photos that you've got. You can see the kind of room before that they really decorated. And then here we have Carlos Cervantes in the middle there playing Loteria. And then Abraham Rosas and his mother dancing, who won the dance competition. Abraham's the gentleman who works in the evening for us down here, former student of ours, and I'm a good guy. I will tell you that we talk about the investment and return on investment on the radio station engagement and things like that. Without question, the best $2,200 this college has spent. That's all we spent. We fed 160 people with that. All of the decorations and games and whatever was all volunteers. I mean, it was just spectacular. So really, really fun time. And we're looking at, Rhoda and I have been chatting about, having some monthly event at the college where we can engage with the community one way or the other. It doesn't have to be around cultural appreciation, but just getting people to campus more, and it really pays off. Aurelie, who's the vice president of the student body, I met with them on Friday and I was asking her, she's Latinx. And I asked her if she came and she's like, oh my God, that was the best, the most fun I've had in forever. And she said, I wasn't going to go, but my parents made me come. made her come with them. So it was really, really, really good. So a lot of fun there. We had a bond oversight committee meeting, much of what you heard from Jason and Sherry were discussed there. That went well. We had, of course, Mildred Davy. It was a very big month. And again, Mildred Davy, probably the largest Mildred Davy we've had.
Yes, about 50 students in attendance, which is the most student participation we've ever had.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really good. And the students that were there, the donors that we were sitting with, they were talking to my wife and just amazed at the folks that were there and the student stories and all the things. So it was just really, really good. So good job there. We had our monthly campus conversations. I've been doing those each month. We talked about facilities, parking. We did talk about the radio station, other events that we're doing. A lot of fun there. And then we had Halloween again in October, right? Spectacular, largest I've seen. And we didn't do a count, but I gotta say it was probably close to 150-ish people throughout Morgan.
Jenny did 150 treat bags and all of those were gone at probably 5:15.
Oh.
And I'd say each kid that came brought like 1 to 2 adults with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really crowded.
Yeah.
Started at, what time did they start? 3 o'clock? Yeah, and we turned the music and lights off at 6 and said, get out of here. And I'll tell you, on the Latinx night, we said it was going to be over at 8. I think we kicked people out at 9.
Yeah.
Most of us left about 9:30 or something like that. It was just really long. And then Friday, this past Friday, we did some DEI training with Marion Friedman, who's worked with the college before. She's an independent consultant. So we did some training with the leadership team, and we're working on a plan to roll out more training, both with the leadership team, but across the campus as well. So it's really just a couple of things to point out. Observances. I think it's really important to note kind of things that we should observe. Veterans Day will be Monday. We'll have a holiday. But I just want to mention that there are about 2,700 veterans in Tillamook County. That's 10% of our total population. But in reference, the total state of Oregon, about 7% of the population is veterans. So we have a higher proportion of veterans in Tillamook County than the state does. So I think we should be aware of that and think about that on Monday. This month is Native American Heritage Month. I do think it's important to recognize that this college does sit on land that was once occupied by the Tillamook and Chinook tribes of the Siletz Indians. They were decimated in the mid-1800s, mostly by epidemics and disease brought by European settlers, but then subsequently by warfare from westward expansion. There are currently only about 300 Native Americans that are recognized as Native Americans in Tillamook County. Most of the Native Americans that do trace ties to Tillamook and Chinook tribes are either with the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz or the Confederated Tribes of Grand Island. So these things to remember also. National Scholarship Month. Again, TBCC gives out over $125,000 annually, which is a large amount for an institution this size. So we feel very good about that and the impact that makes on students. It's also National Apprenticeship Month. And our apprenticeship programs have nearly doubled over the past couple of years. We're starting pre-apprenticeship programs in the high schools, in construction, and we're developing apprenticeship programs. So we're doing our work for National Apprenticeship Month. And lastly, National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week is before Thanksgiving. Just to bring forward, I think you probably talked about this at some point when the study was done, but the HOPE study was commissioned by the state of Oregon for community colleges in 2020. And Tillamook Bay Community College participated in it, and 53% of our students that participated indicated they had food insecurities, 60% housing insecurities, 27% categorized themselves as homeless. All of those were above the averages for community colleges in the state. So we have a very population of students and also keep that in mind. As we talk about that, pantry and students are working on ways to provide more food for the students. Jason's been putting out some snacks in the lobby for students. So again, just fun. Wow, something's happening tomorrow. That's been, I was telling everybody, I wish my friends, Kamala and Barack, Michelle, I wish they'd put texting me every 30 minutes. Be glad when that's over. College Council coming up November 20th. And again, just a reminder, next board meeting, December 7th, that will be kind of a fun one. We will have, I'm sorry, it's the 2nd.
Yes.
I've been saying 7th for too long. Sorry, Monday, December 2nd, is our next board meeting. We are doing a joint mixer kind of thing, is that right?
Festive
mixing.
Foundation.
With the foundation board, so.
Snacks will be provided.
Snacks provided,
Same time.
4 o'clock. We'll gather for, again, December 2nd and 7th. For that, and then we'll have a board meeting at 5. And we also will have, that's when our head commissioner visit is, December 7th, December 2nd. So they'll be here, so it'll be nice, they'll get to see us interact with the board and our, both the foundation board and our board. I don't know how long they'll stay, but it should be. And lastly, a few kudos. I don't know if you all have met Angel Kavanaugh. She's been with us maybe before, right about February. So January she started. She when Lori moved into the role as executive assistant, we hired Angel to serve in Lori's prior role there. She's a support specialist for instruction. She's been knee deep in new bookstore implementation. We have done a spectacular job there. I got to really say, you know, as I mentioned, our cultural celebration, and how you all know Maria Leos, Michael Olarte, Abraham Rosas, Carlos Cervantes, they donated a lot of time and effort to make this a successful event. So kudos to them. And Britta and Saya for a wonderful Mildred Davy. It was really a lot of fun. I really did enjoy that. And lastly, anybody at all who participated with the site visit team for the commission, it was a successive party as well. So that's not nice. And there is a conference this week. I forgot that. There's a conference this week starting Wednesday.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Any questions for Paul? No? Any board concerns? No? There's the holiday mention.
That's the holiday mixer that I send you.
Oh, I mean,
Great. It's good. That's a good.
well, we're glad that you consider the board meeting part of your covenant.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Okay, well, if there's nothing further, we will adjourn this meeting at 7:05. Thank you, everyone.
Wednesday,